Hello again, my DIY loving friends. I'm Sarah, and this is Medicated Housewife DIY, where crafting and mental health come together. If you love transforming your home on a budget, you're in the right place. In this video, I'll show you how to create stunning designer decor using Dollar Tree finds. Yes, you heard that right. High-end luxury looks without breaking the bank. So what are you waiting for? Let's go DIY together. For this DIY, I'm starting with this wood tray from Dollar Tree Plus and these giant wood craft sticks. I got at Hobby Lobby or Walmart, I can't remember, but I will link some for you in the description box below. They're about 1 1/4 inch wide. I need 36 pieces of these craft sticks that are about 3 3/4 inch long, although I do cut some of them shorter later on, you will see. But to start with, I use a scissors to cut 36 pieces of craft stick that are 3 3/4 inch long. With all my craft stick pieces cut, I start assembling the tray, starting with 3 pieces that go vertically, then 3 pieces that go horizontally. And here you can see I need to trim the next 3 vertical pieces shorter to fit in the space that's left over. So I'm going to use a scissors and cut these 3 pieces shorter to about 3 inches to make them fit. Then I start building the next row with 3 pieces going horizontally on the bottom, followed by 3 of the shorter 3-inch size pieces going vertically above that. And then back to the 3 regular length pieces going horizontally again. So everything is alternating, as you can see. I'm going to glue down that side of the tray before placing the rest. I'm using Tight Bond Quick and Thick wood glue, and I will link that for you below, but you can also use the Super Glue wood glue from Dollar Tree to do this as well. I placed the next 2 rows of craft sticks the same way as the first 2, alternating the pattern, and each row is going to end up with 1 group of 3 craft sticks that are shorter by about 3/4 of an inch than the rest of that row so that they will all fit. Then I go about gluing those 2 rows down the same as the first 2 rows of the tray. I also trimmed one or two of the craft sticks lengthwise to help them fit into the available space. Then I allowed that whole glued craft stick tray to dry. Once dry, I'm using this Americana gel stain in the color Walnut, which I will link for you below, and this stuff goes on very much like antique wax, so you could substitute that if you wanted to. I'm going to be painting everything on this tray, that's all the craft sticks, obviously, and the inside walls of the tray, as well as the top edges and outside walls too. Everything basically but the bottom, but you can paint that too if you want to. I wanted to wrap the handles with this sisal rope I had in my stash, and I will link it for you below, but the rope on its own was a little too stiff to really stay in place and be held down with the hot glue, as you see me struggling with it here. So I end up removing that and unraveling the rope using a piece of the unraveled rope instead, which was more pliable and easier to stay in place with the hot glue. So I wrapped the cutout handle of the tray on both sides with this unraveled piece of sisal rope, securing it with hot glue. And this is my gorgeous parquet style wood tray. I love, love, love this. So incredibly upscale and high-end looking for a Dollar Tree wood tray. This is something I know I will use and love in my home decor for years to come. I do recommend sealing it with a Mod Podge Outdoor or some kind of water-resistant sealer for longevity, but this tray is a crowd pleaser and a must-have for everyone, in my opinion. This DIY starts with this 12-inch wood panel from Dollar Tree Plus section, and I remove the plastic and I want to paint the entire panel with this Apple Barrel Gloss White acrylic, which I will link for you below. So we are painting the entire inside front and the inside walls, the outside edge, as well as the outside walls with the white gloss paint. You could also paint the back if you wanted to, although I did not, and I end up doing 2 to 3 coats of the white gloss paint for total coverage, and then I'm going to allow that to fully dry. I went on Google Images to find a geometric diamond pattern, and then I sized that pattern in Canva and printed it on 2 pieces of letter-sized paper and taped them together to fit the size that's inside the wood panel. I also cut out the lines of the diamond pattern, just like making yourself a homemade stencil for painting or something, but we are not going to paint it. I have a roll of this 1/4-inch gold metallic tape I got on Amazon. It's really inexpensive, and I'll link it for you below. So instead of painting, we're using the tape to fill in all of my cut lines to create this diamond pattern inside the wood panel in gold tape. Starting with the small square or diamond in the middle, I simply create the lines inside my cutout paper lines, centering the tape as best I can and overlapping all of the edges, which I can clean up later with an X-Acto knife. And it sounds a lot more complicated than it is. We are really just making shapes with tape. I promise it is easy peasy. Then I move on to the larger diamond shapes surrounding that smaller one, and then the half diamond shapes that are along the outside of the design. And I keep going, filling in the lines with the tape the exact same way. I'm making my way toward the outside until all the parts of the cutout design are filled in with the tape. I'm going to be trimming all of the overlap tape and excess edges with my X-Acto knife as I go along, just to keep everything neat and tidy. Once my tape design is all filled in and trimmed to the edges, I want to cover the whole design with this Minwax polyacrylic clear gloss sealer, which I will link for you below because I want this whole thing to be really glossy. Plus, the sealer will help ensure that all the little pieces of tape stay in place and don't start to come up. I give the sealer a couple of minutes to dry a bit, and I do another coat over the inside as well as the edges and walls of the panel to make everything super glossy. And then I allow it all to fully dry. I realized I wanted to add some height to this panel and make it a tray. So I had these small wooden people figures, which I'll link for you below, and I simply glue them to the 4 edges of the panel with some hot glue. And then I'm going to use that same white gloss paint to paint the legs of my tray. And this is my glossy gold and white diamond patterned tray, and I really like the glam and almost Art Deco vibe of this tray. It's a little different than my usual project, but I'm really liking the modern elegance of it, and honestly, using the tape for the design could not possibly make this DIY any easier. Simple, easy, clean, modern, and very stylish. An ideal DIY. This next DIY starts with one of these small bamboo cutting boards from Dollar Tree, and full disclosure, I wanted to use a gloss black paint for this. All I had was this strange old black metallic paint, so I recommend you use a gloss black, but I had to use this and I had to make it work. It's not super metallic, it was a little shiny, so I was satisfied with that. I painted all sides and edges of the cutting board in multiple coats of this black paint for full coverage, and then I let it completely dry. I'm using some little pieces of black painter's tape just to mark out the positions of my cutting board to create a pattern I truly just made up as I went along. So you can totally do your own thing here. I'm going to be using this 1/8 of an inch wide gold tape I used in last week's video again, and I'll link it below. I marked 1 inch in from the end of one side and 2 inches in from the end on the other side, and reversed that on the other side of the cutting board, and kind of marked a place in between each of those markings that I did on the ends. Again, I made it up. Do your own thing, or you can pause or replay the video to match mine. I moved the black tape piece up to give me 1.5 inches of space to apply the gold tape, and then fold the gold tape over the edge of the cutting board. I then moved all those black tape pieces up to allow for 1.5 inches of gold tape to be placed under them. Again, I'm making it up, but I did decide that 1.5 inches is the size all my gold tape pieces should be. I did the same thing on the other side of the cutting board, as you can see right here. And honestly, besides all the gold tape pieces being 1.5 inches long, the rest of the pattern is a free-for-all for me. So you can easily pause the video and match the placement if you're recreating this and want the pattern identical. I placed 2 gold tape pieces on both ends of the cutting board, as you see me doing here. And really, I just made sure one end of the board mirrored the other. Please don't make fun of my Jersey accent with mirrored. Now I'm placing 1.5 inch gold tape pieces going horizontally in between the vertical pieces. And these horizontal pieces are only 3/4 of an inch from the edge of the board. And again, I just made up this pattern. I can't stress that enough. It's not a perfect pattern. Then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side of the cutting board with the horizontal gold tape pieces. Then on both ends of the board, I also added 1 horizontal gold tape piece that was also placed 3/4 of an inch in from the edge on both of those ends. Then I decided to add another gold piece of tape vertically that was kind of just floating above the horizontal tape pieces, centered above it, repeating that on the other side of the cutting board too. Then I spotted 4 more spots on the board I wanted to place horizontal gold tape pieces to complete my made up pattern. Pause the video if you want to copy this pattern. I covered the front and the sides of my cutting board with this glossy polyacrylic to make it shine, and off camera, I had painted 4 wood beads with a gloss black paint and attached them to the bottom of the cutting board to give it some height and make it a riser. And here's my glossy black and gold riser, and I think this piece is so unique. It's modern and almost looks like a gold inlay piece. No one will ever guess that this is a $1.25 bamboo cutting board from Dollar Tree. Everything about this DIY is impressive. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed these designer delights, high-end home decor dupes from Dollar Tree as much as I did. Let me know in the comments which one was your favorite. I love hearing from you guys. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Medicated Housewife DIYs for more amazing DIY projects. Until next time, remember that together we're making the world a more beautiful place, one DIY at a time.